Okay, fine. Now it's all right. Good afternoon and welcome to lecture 12 of ECL 706. We are continuing our discussion on wall formwork. If you remember, in the last class, I had given you a brief idea about what are conventional wall formwork and some idea about some proprietary wall formwork. We discussed the various components used in conventional wall formwork, and we also discussed some proprietary wall formwork, and we were discussing this climbing wall formwork. I told you the advantages of climbing wall formwork. You can avoid the staging or scaffolding in the case of climbing wall formwork. There are three types of climbing wall formwork. We had discussed type 1 climbing wall formwork. So, if you remember, in type 1 climbing wall formwork, first few lifts are cast using conventional means. Once you have cast one or two lifts, there onwards you try to use one special device called climbing cone, which is kept inside the concrete which you are pouring, and this climbing device is used in the subsequent lift for hanging the suspended platform, for hanging the platform. So, there is no need to erect your scaffolds right from the ground level. The shutters, the formworks are dismantled in each operation after the concrete has set. They are brought onto the ground. The cleaning operation is performed at the ground level. Once they are cleaned, it is taken again onto the required level where you want to cast the next lift. They are erected there, assembled, and then again the concreting takes place. Now, we are going to learn about type 2 climbing wall formwork, and I will show you with the help of some photographs. Now, in this type 2 climbing wall formwork, the cleaning operation of the wall form, it's performed at the elevated location itself. This is the difference. In type 1, for cleaning, we were bringing the entire formwork onto the ground level. Here what is happening? Cleaning is taking place at the elevated location itself. There is no need to bring the entire wall form all the way to ground for cleaning. So, this adds to your productivity, because every now and then you are not supposed to bring the entire formwork onto the ground level, you clean it and then again take it to the next level. No, that is not required. Now, there are two ways in which you can perform the cleaning operation in type 2 climbing wall formwork. There are two ways in which you can perform the cleaning operation at the elevated location itself. First is, the wall form can be moved away from concrete surface after the concrete has attained strength. Now, how you are moving away? There are two ways to do this. Basically, you want to create certain gaps. So that a person can go inside and clean the shutters. So, there are two ways in which you can do this cleaning. In one way, what happens is, you create certain distance by which the wall form is moved, right, so that some crew members can go between the concrete surface and the wall form to clean the wall form panels. Once this cleaning is over, the entire assembly is lifted and fixed to its next position with the help of a crane. So, type 1 also requires crane, type 2 also requires crane. The time in type 2 is less, the crane time in type 2 is less compared to type 1. Why? Because the cleaning operation is being performed at site itself. I will just show you how it looks like. So, first 1 or 2 lift, you do it using conventional, manner. So, this is done using conventional manner. Exactly in the same manner you use type 2. Now, the only difference is, you can see here, the shutter was like this earlier at the time of concreting, but now it has been tilted. It has been tilted so that this gap has been created. This gap has been created, and a person can go inside this gap to clean this shutter, to clean this. Is this clear to you, technology class? How the cleaning is done?
Yes.
We are not bringing these panels onto the ground until and unless they are cleaned. So, the cleaning is done at elevated location itself, here itself. Not clear? See, you have a tilting device, this is the shutter, you have some device through which this rotates, and now it takes a shape like this. So, there is a gap which can be utilized to clean this portion. Is it clear now?
The total part sheet is very small, and how the worker can be corrected.
Can you come again? Please tell me again.
The total part.
Reinforcement is here. A reinforcement will be tied only when this shutter is in this position, when your shutter is a straight position like this. Cleaning means you have to clean the shutter formwork panels. So, for cleaning, suppose this is the wall, this is the wall that you have cast. So, you want to create some gap. So, let us say you have tilted the shutter like this. So, now this is the gap, and through this gap you can clean this. Is it clear now?
Yes.
Okay. This is one way of creating the distance. In another method, you can just have a look here. You have this piece of shutter mounted on rails. So, these are rails. These are rails. So, whatever distance you want to make, whatever gap you want to make, you have to roll this shutter towards this direction onto these rails. Is it clear? So, what is happening? You have created this gap here, and this gap, through this gap workers can go and clean this shutter. Is the slide clear to you?
Yes.
So, what is happening is, you have this shutter here, this is mounted on rail, this is mounted on rail. Now, you want to create gap, so you are moving it backwards. So, now the revised position of the shutter is something like this, so that you have this much gap. Now, is it clear? So, we are pushing it away from the concrete wall. Is it clear? Okay. So, this is what is type 2 climbing wall formwork. The only difference here is the cleaning is done at the elevated location itself. Cleaning is performed at elevated location itself. Now, once you have done this cleaning, a crane is used to bring this shutter, bring this thing entirely on the ground surface, and from there onwards the process is same. See, there can be one more situation in which the shifting of panel can be made directly to the next level. So, from here directly you can bring it at this level. So, no need to take it to ground. Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the advantage you might have noticed is that number one, scaffolding is not required. Scaffolding from ground is not required. Ground is not required. Second advantage is no need to take form panels onto ground. So, even if you are working in a congested area, this system is quite useful. So, any doubt in type 2 climbing formwork technology class? Okay. Then these are some of the advantages I have put down in this slide. The cycle time can be between 2 to 4 days. Cycle time means dismantling of shutter, tying of reinforcement, assembly of formwork, pouring concrete, and then dismantling. So, the time from dismantling to dismantling, you consider them as cycle time. So, it can vary between 2 to 4 days. The crane time is considerably reduced compared to type 1. The system has inbuilt safety mechanism, and so you can work probably at any height, possibly on all heights. So height is not a bar if you are using this system. You can design this system for a wind speed as high as 150 km per hour. So even in very high windy situation, you can use this system. All the components in a climbing formwork system are engineered, that means they are designed and they are made in a factory setup. Thus, the designer can have greater confidence and he can design it for different loading and site conditions. Because now that they are engineered, you can be assured of their properties. So your design will be, you will be much confident of your design. Now this would not have been the case if you are using, let us say, some timber. Now timber, they are natural products, there could be large variation in their properties, it could be affected by a number of factors. So you will have to take a large factor of safety there. But if you know the properties of certain materials, you can design it quite comfortably, you can design it quite confidently. So these are some of the advantages of type 2. The only difference here is the cleaning operation takes place at the elevated location. In some system there is no need to bring the formwork onto the ground, they can be transported directly from the dismantling location to the next assembly location. Now we move on to type 3. Okay, of course there are certain limitations of these climbing formwork. For example, when you have these form panels are of considerable height and width, so your site must be properly accessible, because otherwise you may not be able to maneuver the crane. Maneuvering through crane would be difficult. Sufficient clearance is also required while lifting the form from one lift to the next. So because you are moving your shutter from this level to next level, your crane is lifting this, so you should have sufficient clearance. Clearance must be there, otherwise it will obstruct the lifting by crane. The system's productivity and cycle time suffers if there are large number of openings. Suppose you have this wall and there are too many openings, for example here, here, you will find that you will have to make a special arrangement for having the formwork for this opening, and so your cycle time would be increased. Cycle time would increase under such situation. So these are some of the limitations. Do you understand these limitations? First thing is the site must be accessible so that you can bring in cranes and they can easily maneuver. Sufficient clearance is also required, and whenever your wall has got large openings and blockouts, it becomes slightly problematic and your cycle time increases, and you may not be able to take full advantage of this. Now we see this type 3 climbing formwork. This is possibly the most advanced version. So type 3, when we say, it is one of the most advanced version. We also call them with the name automatic climbing formwork. Sometimes they are also known as self-raising formwork. So you call them as automatic climbing formwork or self-raising formwork. Now the name self-raising itself tells you that it doesn't require any crane time. So whenever you are using automatic climbing system, it has an inbuilt climbing device which doesn't require support from crane, and that's why this is one of the most advanced versions, because it totally eliminates the use of crane. So even at those sites where you don't have crane, this system can work really wonders for you in terms of saving in time as well as in terms of cost saving. This is what I was telling you, there is no requirement of crane. The wall form panels need not be brought to the ground for cleaning. So this is similar to type 2, you are not bringing it onto the ground for cleaning. The cleaning and other operations are performed at elevated location itself, same as type 1. Now, the climbing here is by a special device called climbers. So, here we have additional component called climbers, which basically voiced these formwork in a step by step manner. So, there are certain additional components that are needed in case of automatic climbing system. As you know, there is no crane requirement. So, there has to be some means through which the entire system moves in a step by step manner, I will show you how it moves. Can you see this particular slide? If you just look at this figure, you can notice there are two frames, one in this color and then the other one is here. So, basically it is like monkey climbing, You have seen how the monkey climbs?
Yes.
You have seen how the monkey climbs?
Yes, we have seen.
So, you can just try to see when it is trying to climb, maybe it will have load on these two legs, right, and when it moves up, it will release these pair of legs and keep the entire load on this. So, on a similar principle, in most of these climbing devices there are two frames. So, one frame, another frame. So, while one frame moves, the load is taken care by the other frame. Once the first frame has moved to a particular distance, it takes care of the load and then this leg moves upwards. Can you visualize this? Just try to locate a monkey first and then see how it is climbing. Okay, so this is your next assignment. Observe a monkey climbing and compare it with the climbing that I have told you in this particular lecture. Okay. Now, it has got certain additional components that I will tell you. There is first component called lifting frame. Now, the bottom supports of the lifting frame is anchored to the previously cast concrete lift. There are hydraulic jacks which are attached to the lifting frames. The jacks pull the entire form systems to the next lift location. So, one very essential component here is the jack, which is basically you can consider them as the core of the whole system. These jacks are used for pulling the entire form system to the next level. Then, as I will show you in next few photographs, there are various platforms at different levels in these systems. I will tell you how many platforms are there. The lowest platform is used for repair and minor touch-up works. The lowest platform, we are using it for minor touch-up work and some repair works. So, we are at this level, lowest. Then the next upper level platform is used by the carpentry gangs for cleaning, fixing, aligning and removing the form panels. So, this is the lowest. Then second is for carpenter, Now the next platform, that is platform above this carpenter's platform, is used for reinforcement crew and concrete pumping crew. Now there is one additional platform which is used for climbing operation, where you operate these jacks. Okay. Now there is one more platform which is used for curing. So I told you about five platforms that can be sometime there in a automatic climbing wall formwork system. I will show you a picture and then it will be clear. So wait for that time. Then as I told you, the hydraulic jacks, they are attached to the lifting frames. These jacks pull the entire form system to the next level location. There are different types of jacks. They could be hydraulic, they could be electric powered, right? The spacing of jacks and the capacity is decided depending on the load that it has to lift. So I will tell you how to design these jacks, how to find out the right spacing for these jacks depending on the load that it has to lift upwards. So there are few things which are additional in this automatic climbing formwork system. Number one, the lifting frame. Number two, the different platforms. Number three, the hydraulic jacks. These three components are additional in any automatic climbing wall formwork system. There could be as many as 5 platforms, the lowest being used for curing, the next one may be used for repair and minor touch up, the next one can be used for lifting arrangement, that is your jacks may be positioned there. The fourth platform can be used by carpenters for cleaning, aligning, assembling of formwork, and the next, that is the top level platform, can be used for reinforcement gang as well as your concreting crew. Right? Now I will show you some more aspects of this type 3 climbing formwork. These formworks can be customized for a wide range of applications. Some of the applications that have been reported for these type 3 climbing formworks are pylons. You might have seen pylons which are very large, maybe something like this, very large structure, may be used for different purposes. You can use it for bridge piers, you can use them for lift shaft. Lift shafts, you will find that they are one of the most critical activities in a multi-story building. If you are constructing a multi-story building, you will find that it doesn't take much time to cast these floors, but when it comes to lift, it takes lot of time. So sometimes people use automatic climbing wall formwork for casting these lift shafts. There are special automatic climbing formwork which can be used for constructing this natural draft cooling tower. You might have seen a structure like this, natural draft cooling tower, something like this. they could be as high as 120 to 130 meters. They are used mostly in power plants for cooling of hot water. You can also use this system for some dam faces. So, while constructing the dam, you can use this automatic climbing wall formwork for achieving faster rate of construction. Now, in these days you find that there are lots of application of these automatic climbing wall formwork. The reason is you don't require any crane, and still you can get very high speed of construction, right? The form panels used in this system can be either made up of large plywood sheets, or it could be metallic, made of steel, or maybe of aluminum frames. Now, I will show you how this system works, in a step by step manner. Now, stage 1, you can see you have fixed these formworks on both the sides, right? Now, there is a device called leading anchor. In one of the lectures, I will give you the diagram for these anchors, climbers. I will give you the detailed dimension and how do they look like, so that it becomes clear to you. But for the time being, just understand that there is a device called leading anchor that has to be fixed, and secured. This device, you are fixing it in, suppose you are casting this portion, so your device should be somewhere here. Now, this will be concreted, right? After you have removed this shutter piece, the climber device should be attached on this. I will show you how it looks like. So, stage 1 is formwork is set, the leading anchor is positioned. So, position the leading anchor. Stage 2, you close the formwork. So, you can see now this formwork is closed, ready for concreting. So, you are pouring the concrete through this. Till here it is clear, technology class? You may notice this lifting frame. Both sides. It has got a thread on this. Something like this. Now, before fixing this lifting bracket, lifting frame, you may have to do 1 or 2 casting using conventional method. So, this step is same. So, first thing, you are casting 1 or 2 pores using conventional method, then you are fixing this lifting frame, you are positioning the leading anchor, then you are closing this formwork and you are concreting the pore. Now, let us see what is the next stage. Now, the climbing shoe is mounted. You can just note here, this is the climbing shoe. There is a device called climbing shoe. right. So, you mount the climbing shoe, and on this climbing shoe itself the climbing operation starts. So, if you just look at me, it's you have mounted this climbing shoe which is on the concrete surface, and then the bracket, then the lifting frame moves upward like this. So, suppose you have this concrete surface, this is the concrete surface. So, I have attached let us say climbing shoe here, and then my lifting frame moves on top of this, slides on this, not suddenly but in a step by step manner like this. So, first I move one frame, then fix the load, then another frame starts moving, okay, then the first one, then the second one. Is it clear to you, technology class? So, this is how it moves. I am trying to arrange one video which will show you how the actual climbing takes place, then it will be more clear. It will be more clear, but for the time being just understand the various steps that you need to take. So, in this particular stage climbing shoe is mounted and the climbing operation starts. Stage 4 is again now repetition. Leading anchor is now positioned. Leading anchor is positioned, formwork is closed, concreting is done. Then after it has set, you move it this way, clean it, fix the climbing shoe, and start climbing. So, after every lift or maybe 2-3 lifts, you put the climbing shoe depending on the height of your frame, and then it can move upwards. Now, I will show you some application of these patented wall formwork. In this particular slide, you can see this L&T wall formwork. L&T is basically Larsen and Toubro. They manufacture formwork, different types of formwork. They have a license and they have an arrangement with DOCA of Austria, which is a leading formwork manufacturer. Now, in this system you can see you have these alignment props both sides, then you have a plywood either 12 mm or 19 mm. Then you have this yellow color beams called H16 beams. I have already explained you what this H16 beams are. Basically they are something like this. So, the depth is 160 millimeter, 16 centimeter. So, that is why they are known as H16 beams. You can see the working platform. Although in this figure I have shown it only on one side, they can be kept on both sides as well. So, here also you can have a working platform. You can see it has a lifting bracket also. So, if you want to handle them using cranes, you can do them. Okay. For corners, you have a tie system here, so that you can either form a right angle corner or any other angle that you want. So, it can make a right angle corner or some different angles also it can create. I will show you some actual site photographs. Can you see this? Yes. So, this is using the same system. Here veilers are seen quite prominently. These are veilers. This is basically one stadium wall, retaining wall of a stadium. It was constructed in Chennai by the same company using the L&T formwork. Using the L&T formwork. You can see the height is of the order of about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 meters. So, 6 meter wall, you can see it has been done in a single pour. You can see the appearance, although it is not that very clear, but you can see the quality is of acceptable level. Okay. Using the same component, I will list out plywood, H16, veilers, props, tie rods. You can note the working platform here. These are the working platform. Okay. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. These are some more examples of the application of L&T wall formwork. You can see this circular wall also you can cast using the same components. Here you can see this is a large dia intake structure. This was done by a company called FCons. You will notice that the same components have been used, which I showed you in the previous slide. Okay. Some more applications here. This circular wall is very clearly shown. This is again constructed by FCons using this L&T wall formwork. Now, I will show you some systems developed by a company called Perry. It is a German firm, and they have different systems for different applications in wall formwork. They have different trade names. For example, they have this Maximo panel wall formwork, then they have a Trio panel wall formwork, they have this hand set panel wall formwork, they have a system called Vario GT24 girder wall formwork, they have this Rund Flex circular wall formwork for circular applications, and then they have this GRV circular wall formwork also. I will show you some features about these systems very briefly, and I will show you the photographs also. For example, you can notice this, this is the typical Maximo panel wall formwork. Using this system, you can generate a very high construction speed, and thus you can have a saving in time and cost. It does not require spacer tubes. This is the peculiarity of this system. Spacer tubes I had shown you, they are basically to maintain the distance between the inner and outer wall. So, or rather inner surface and outer surface. So, this system does not require spacer tubes, and you can notice the tie 1, 2, 3, 4. So, what you can see is that the ties are spaced at regular intervals. So, when you remove this form panel, you find a very nice pattern on your concrete surface. In this system, the work takes place only from one side. The conventional tie sleeves are not required here. Then we move on to next system. This is called trio housing panel form. There are different variants in this trio system. I have made the slide only for trio housing panel form. This is one of the fastest in this trio series of wall formwork panel. It requires very short cycle time. In this, the plywood board can be screwed without any indentation. So, in this system, when you remove the shutters, you will not find this pattern, which you were finding it in the Maximo case, Maximo panel. So, in this case, when you are screwing the plywood with the frames, you don't get any mark. So, the surface looks very smooth and fair, this can be used for heights up to 5400 millimeter. Only single tie is required for concreting height of up to 2700 millimeter, and this can withstand a concrete pressure of 67.5 kilonewton per meter square. You can find more details on these form by visiting their websites. I will just quickly take you to the various systems. They have this domino panel wall formwork, which is made up of either steel or aluminum. This is very light. You can use them for housing as well as for wall application in any types of construction. You can use them for foundation also. The panels which you see here are available in 4 sizes: 1000 millimeter, 750 millimeter, 500 millimeter and 250 millimeter. So, 1000, 750, 500 and 250. With this you are able to get any dimension. The heights you can get up to 2500. The system is powder coated, which can make it very easy for cleaning. Then for manual application, they have this system of hand set panel wall formwork. These are very light, and that is why you can use them manually. This can withstand a pressure of up to 40 kilonewton per meter square. Then coming to this Vario GT24, you will find that the depth of this system is, the depth of this component is, the component is something like this, which I showed you, very similar to H16, very similar to H16, but here the dimension is 240 millimeter. So, this system was made by L&T. This is also being manufactured by Doka, but when it comes to Perry, they have it in 240 millimeter depth. This is a very versatile system. You can use them for any application, whether you want to do with plywood or with varying heights, all those things are possible. You can design them for different concrete pressures. You can see in all these systems, they are fitted with working platform. They are fitted with ladders. One thing you can notice is that these beams are of truss shape. So, you can see they are like this. If you see it in elevation, the GT24 beams are like this, whereas H16, if you see it in elevation, it was something like this, plain, whereas it's kind of a lattice structure, and you can see this in this corner portion. Can you see this arrangement technology class?
Yes.
Okay. Then for circular application, Perry also has certain systems. What I will do is I will send you the features of these different systems which you can go through. The idea is you should be familiar with some popular formwork systems, so that whenever need arises, you can select the best out of these companies, out of these products, as per your requirement. Now these companies, they also manufacture the climbing systems. So the climbing systems, the two types of climbing systems developed by Perry is shown in this slide. This is known as CV240 and this is known as CV160 system. In CV240, the width of this platform is 240 millimeter, and this system, the width of the platform is 160. The width of the platform is 160. For cleaning purpose, you can create a gap of about 750 millimeter. So that means these shutters can be moved backwards by about 750 millimeter, so that cleaning becomes very easy at the elevated location itself. You can see how the panels can be lifted using crane. Is this clear to you, technology class? This is the bracket on which the entire load rests. These are the brackets. This is supported on the ground, on the concrete surface which is already cast, and then you put the shutter here. So this is how it looks like. Is this clear to you, technology class?
Yes.
Okay. Now I was talking to you about this automatic climbing formwork system. They also manufacture this system. One system they call it as RCS formwork. Now you can see the number of platforms. Maybe this platform you can use it for curing. Maybe this one you can use for minor touch up, and maybe this platform itself you can use it for climbing. This platform you can use it for formwork, and this platform for reinforcement and concreting. So you can note these things. Okay. This is another variant. They call it by this name ACSR. So you can see using the same components which they had used for previous systems and adding few more components such as the lifting frame, the climbing pole, the jacks and platforms, they are able to create a very powerful system which you can use it for virtually any kind of climbing applications. This is possible. Now DOCA also manufactures different types of climbing formwork. under these brand names: climbing scaffold, traveling climbing formwork, and automatic climbing formwork. The principle is same. I will show you some photographs. You can see how it moves. What they call it as traveling climbing formwork. Now here you can see the gap. This is the gap I was talking to you. Now once you have got this much gap, a person can go inside and clean this shutter, right? So this is what is known as rolling back of shutters. So shutters are rolled back, and then either using the crane or some other lifting devices, you can take them to higher level. Some applications, site applications, you can see for these climbing formwork. You can see this shutter, this formwork. This is a traveling climbing system. This was used for the construction of LNG tank by Messrs. Punj Lloyd Limited. The diameter of the tank, you can note, it is 80 meter, and the shutter panel size that was used was 4 meter by 3.8 meter. The height of the tank is 40 meter. So under such applications you can think of these systems. Again, this is another view. You can see the shutter has now moved to this location. The same sizes of shutters have been used for casting this tank of 80 meter dia and 40 meter height. Some advantages of these climbing and lift form are mentioned here, which I have already discussed. Crane is not required. You have automatic devices. It can take support from the vertical structure itself. It reduces the cost of scaffolding, and you can achieve faster construction. So these are some of the examples of proprietary wall formwork. I have discussed all the three types of climbing formwork: type 1, type 2, and type 3. In type 1, the cleaning operation is performed at the ground level. In type 2, you can either roll back the shutter, or you can tilt them. And what happens in type 3, you have few more additional components such as the lifting frame, the jacks, and the various platforms. So using these climbing devices, the entire assembly can move in a step by step manner, and you can achieve virtually any height. You can work safely even if you are facing a very high windy situation. You can design these shutter panels even up to a wind speed of 150 km per hour. In the next lecture, I will be telling you how to design wall formwork. So if you have any doubt, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
No question, sir.
Okay. What I would request you, you can just search internet and try to figure out what are the manufacturers, which are supplying products in your country. Okay, so that you can know. You will find that most of the systems that they offer are more or less similar. They may differ in a few aspects. That is what you have to find, and then you can try to compare their costs. You can try to see how much it would cost if you are using it for this much area. All those things you should try to do it on your own. Okay, thank you and good night.
Okay, thank you too.
Good night.